This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Welcome to Purpose-Driven Sobriety. Okay. Thank you for joining the Purpose-Driven Sobriety podcast. My name is Christine, and I'm an alcoholic. I would like to thank yet again Taylor McGaw, who is a local real estate agent here in Waco, Texas, for sponsoring this episode. Taylor is a friend to us in sobriety. She just is an amazing individual, let alone an amazing realtor. So if you're in the market to buy or sell a home, be sure to look up Taylor McGaw in Waco, Texas. So today, I am blessed. I am so blessed because I'm able to have a woman, and I did a little video that I posted just a few minutes ago coming down to the studio, that I get to sit and talk to one of the very few women that I just respect. I respect her immensely. I'm just immensely. I said in that video that there's a lot of us out here talking the talk, and I would like to think that I walk the walk when it comes to recovery. But this woman just lives and breathes it, and I just am in awe of her selflessness. And just her willingness to be there for other people the way God intended us to be. So I've got Natasha S. on today, and I'm so thankful for you being here. I just really am, because I've known you for a little minute,
a little while,
right? But we've never sat down, and I don't think I've ever heard your story.
No.
So it's one of those things where I'm just we go about in our community, and I love our community. I love our community.
Me too.
I do.
It's my family.
But there's some of my dearest friends, I've never really heard their stories. So on the show, that's what we do. We just say what it was like, what happened, and what we're like now. Just so we can try to reach another one of God's kids out there still suffering. So, yes. Natasha, thank you.
Well, I am just honored to be here. I'm nervous, so I'm just going to kind of focus on what God's deal is for 100%. Me today. And I believe in what you do, because I believe that we don't talk about addiction enough, and especially, and I believe, we all suffer from addiction. There's a lot of us that have gambling and sex and all those kinds of things, right? I think that it touches everybody's life in one form or another.
Everybody knows somebody.
Everybody
right?
knows somebody. And but I work a lot with women specifically. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because I should be dead today.
Really?
I shouldn't be here. With everything that I've done, everything that I've been through, mental health, physical health, everything, and what I've put into my body to take the pain away and to make me feel good about myself, I should not be alive today. And there are many of us that are not. And I do believe, there's so much controversy of whether we're born as alcoholics or we're taught alcoholism or whatever. I don't care.
Right. The results are the same,
it
right?
It doesn't matter to me.
I am where I am. However I got here, it doesn't matter.
I am. But what I will tell you, and I'll just kind of start off from my childhood.
Sure.
I would say a normal childhood in respects that I had a single mom who raised me.
Now, did you grow up here in Texas?
No, I'm from California.
Really?
So I've been here since 2004.
Okay, got it.
And that's a whole nother story that I'll get into a little bit down the road.
Gotcha.
But Orange County, California, great neighborhoods. People had money. It was nice. There was no... it just was a nice place to grow up in. Middle class, I'd say. My mother was a CPA, and she had divorced my dad when I was a baby because he was an alcoholic. So I didn't grow up around alcohol at all. My mother did not drink. She had her more menthol cigarettes and her black coffee.
Wow.
That was it. She didn't date men. She was extremely intelligent. She was a CPA. She made good money. And I have a half-sister that moved out when I was 5. So I pretty much grew up alone.
Right.
And my mother today, I know, did the best that she could do, but she was not a very emotional, huggy, lovey person. Right. I am. I don't know why God made me that way, but I need hugs and love and reassurance, and that's part of my alcoholism, right? I want to please everybody. Everybody has to like me.
Right.
And so I grew up feeling not good enough, not tall enough, not pretty enough, not smart enough. And I say that all the time because I never felt normal. I remember sitting in kindergarten, and so I experienced some molestation as a child. It's one of my first memories. It was a thing that happened over and over and over again, and I can't say for 100% if I even know who it was. I have some suspicions just on trying to relive it and trying to go back, but it really doesn't matter. The fact is that my first experience with men and with sex was wrong, and was at an age that I couldn't comprehend it, and I related that to being loved. To being loved.
Yeah, I get that. That happens a lot in our community. I mean, with women, the amount of people that this has happened to is also staggering. The trauma
almost goes hand in hand.
Oh my gosh.
99% of the women that I work with have some sort of sexual trauma.
Really?
And if not that, physical abuse, emotional abuse. Men, I know so many men that they don't come forward, but they also were victims when they were children. And that just distorts our view of humanity and of our worth and
of
who we are.
Yes.
And so it took me a long time in sobriety to put those two things together as to why I was addicted to men as well. So I experienced all that. And when I was around 5 years old, I changed, right? It changed me. So I remember being just carefree and fun and loving, and I have pictures of where I was just a normal kid in a bathing suit running around. And then fast forward like a year later, and I'm in a school picture, crying my eyes out. I could not stop.
Oh wow.
I was terrified of going anywhere in public. I was in school and I would hide underneath the desks, and I did that till like 3rd grade. Like I would just be so overwhelmed with people and noise and just what was and what it was is I was like, nobody likes me, nobody loves me, I'm not good enough, and so I would hide. And I had somebody in my family who made fun of that for many years, and it really hurt my self-esteem. But I've forgiven. That is what we do. So anyways, I'm growing up with my mom, and she's got an identical twin sister who's her life. So I go over my cousins all the time. I grow up with my cousins. But my mother was never there for me. She was never emotionally supportive. When I talked about what happens to women, and when I tried to bring it up to her and ask her questions, she'd say, go ask your sister, or go ask somebody else. I was allowed to watch HBO and Cinemax.
Oh, dear.
When I was like 6
You got an
and
education.
7.
You got an education
so
there.
So that was what I thought love was. And so I got to about 12 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old, and I started wanting to be out. And I just started meeting some kids in the neighborhood who were kind of up to no good. And, I can remember. I don't have, my memories are so fleeting because of all the stuff I've put into my body. But I remember specifically the first time I took a drink. It was at a party in a kid's garage. Now, these are rich kids. These are well-off kids, right? And so they had strobe lights and smog effects. And I remember taking that drink, and I was terrified there. Like, I was shaking. I was so nervous.
Now, how old were you then?
I was about
13?
12 or 13,
okay,
I think. I was young.
Yeah.
It was young, way too young.
Right.
And I remember taking a couple drinks, and it just went away. It just went away. We talk about this restless, irritable, and discontent stuff, and it just goes away. I just was good enough. And I spent the next probably 10 years chasing that. And
I was talking with someone on one of the shows not too long ago about it, because I totally get what you're saying. All of a sudden, at least for me, I belonged. And before that moment, before I got that alcohol in my body, I had never belonged anywhere.
Right.
And I think us as human beings, we have this innate need to belong somewhere, to someone, to something.
God made us that way.
Exactly. And
it.
when we don't have that, when we find something, I mean, I get it. And so that feeling of belonging was just, finally obtained.
We hear it from everybody that we come in contact with in our world. I just wanted to belong, and that was me, and I did. I still, and what I did is I thought love was sex, and so that's what I did. And that's what my goal was. I'm going to find him.
Right.
He's going to save me. He's going to rescue me. He's going to be my person. And nobody gave two craps about me. Nobody cared. It was just alcohol and drugs. I did a lot of methamphetamines when I was like 16 and 17 for like a 2-year span. And I don't know what it was. It just wasn't for me. I was too afraid. I'm kind of a wuss. I don't want to go to jail. I don't want anybody to not like me so much, and I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to be in trouble.
Right.
And so it just was too scary for me, and I was able to quit doing it, but I always drank. Now, mind you, I had no clue I was an alcoholic. I thought this was normal stuff.
Now, did you know at that time that your dad was an alcoholic? Did
I
you have that
did.
knowledge
I
at least?
knew-
I know
I
you
knew.
were raised by him.
But I didn't know what that meant.
Okay, got it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My mom would say he was an alcoholic, and he was in and out of my life, and I have some wonderful memories of when he was sober and took me to the zoo. We had this thing where the gorillas were our favorite. And I remember him taking me to LA to Skid Row and saying, you can end up like this.
Oh, goodness.
You know what I mean? Like trying to teach
right,
me that
scared
lesson.
straight.
And right.
Yeah.
And I'm like terrified.
What
I'm like,
the
I have
hell?
no idea what's going on. I can remember that today, though.
I get it.
So I was just drinking and just kind of, man, I thought it was normal to steal your mom's ATM card and go steal money to buy drugs and alcohol and pay for parties for all your friends. I thought it was normal to have your boyfriend move in, your 22-year-old boyfriend when you're 16, move into your mom's house. You know, I thought that was normal. I'm like, I'm just having fun. It's okay. And when I was about 20, I want to say 20, I got pregnant with him. And we got married in Las Vegas at a Justice of the Peace because that was the right thing to do. And he moved in with me and Mom. Now, I was smoking a lot of pot back then. And as soon as I had my daughter, I couldn't handle it. I really never smoked pot again. There was something psychological about it where I didn't feel in control, but
Right.
I drank.
Right.
I could drink. And he was a heroin addict and just couldn't stay sober. And so I kicked him out. We kicked him out. And around that time is when the housing market boomed in California. And my mom had a side business with my aunt. They were cross-stitching things, and they'd made some money. And my aunt's daughter had moved to Texas, up to Lantana, Denton County. And so my mom, we moved here. They were able to buy brand new homes in this beautiful community for really, really cheap. This was in 2004. We moved in August, so here I am in Texas. I don't know anybody. The guy I was dating at the time actually had family out here, so he moved out here
Oh, wow.
to Texas. And I found out I was pregnant again. So now, mind you, I'm still drinking.
Right.
I'm 26 at this time, I think. Really didn't think I was an alcoholic. I had some controlled drinking. I had a job. I was taking care of my daughter. I was living at my mom's, mind you. I've never been out on my own.
Right.
Living at my mom's, and she's getting older, so I'm helping her, like going grocery shopping for her. She's supporting me and my daughter. And I found out I was pregnant. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this, and I don't love you, because I really didn't love him. But I didn't want to be alone either. And so Christmas Day rolled around, and my mom's house and my aunt's house were right next to each other, beautiful homes, and I think it had even snowed. And I was my mom and I were smoking cigarettes in the garage, and I told her I was pregnant. And she said, you know what, I love you. And I'm proud of you. You're doing things a lot different. And you do what you want to do, and I support you. And I love you.
Wow.
And now I don't honestly ever recall my mother ever telling me she loved me. Okay? So that was, so I started having this hope. But I was drinking, and I was pregnant, and it was Christmas, and everybody was next door getting ready, and I was cooking. And my mom had said she didn't feel very good. We had sat at the table, said grace, eaten, and I was cleaning up next door something. And I'd been drinking, so I was buzzed, and me and my boyfriend were fighting, because that's what we do when we drink. And my mother said she wasn't feeling well and went into the room to lay down, and my sister was like, hey, just keep an eye on her. Well, I was drinking and forgotten. And I think it had been about an hour, and I went to go check on my mom finally, and she'd had a heart attack.
Oh, my.
And she was in her bathroom on the floor by the toilet, and she was gone. And I'm drinking, and so it was just a whirlwind of chaos, and it was my mom, and I didn't know what I was going to do, and she was so far in debt. She didn't leave anything, and I know that sounds selfish, like she should have left me money, but I had nothing. Like everything of mine was in her name.
Sure.
I had nothing. So me and the boyfriend moved in together. So I had my daughter. I had my son that I just had. A couple months later had my son, and I'd gotten into a car accident when I was pregnant, and this was back in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And pain pills were still. This is kind of right when it was becoming a
Oh, wow,
thing.
yeah.
And I'd been working at a doctor's office as a receptionist.
Perfect storm coming right
Ooh.
here.
And I didn't know and I couldn't deal with my mom, hadn't dealt with it, really hadn't accepted that she was gone. And I'm living with some guy I don't love, and I'm raising 2 kids, and I started calling in prescriptions for myself. And I did that for about 6 months until I finally got caught. And I remember the day I got caught, the police were like, "Oh, you're just a soccer mom. You can come and turn yourself in." Because I had my kids with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so they let me turn myself in. I walked in. They checked me in. I walked out. I have a grandma who, and my grandpa that lived in California, she was always kind of in the background taking care of me and loving me. She kind of gave me that maternal stuff because, excuse me, that's where I would go when my mom was at work, and you know what I mean. She
Sure.
was a big part of my life, and she always believed in me. And they helped me buy a lawyer or pay for a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up with, I had like 8 counts of felony controlled substance by fraud charges.
Oh, wow.
And they dropped it and never went to jail. I turned myself in and came back out.
Right.
Right? Because I don't do jail.
Right.
I am terrified of jail. This is really God just doing for me, And I don't even have God in my life. We didn't go to church. We didn't talk about God. I don't think my mother mentioned Jesus or God one time in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
I knew cousins went.
Sure.
And so I ended up with just getting some deferred adjudication for it, and I was on probation for 10 years. And I'd gotten off the pills, but I could drink. Well, legally, I wasn't supposed to drink.
Right.
And what happened was I started going out and partying, right? I sent my daughter to go live with her dad, and I just had no way of coping with death and loneliness, and I didn't even know what I was doing. And I started drinking, partying all night, leaving my boyfriend at home, and it was just a real mess. And my probation officer said, "Listen, you're like a soccer mom."
What is
right?
that about?
I don't know. I think it was just the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
it was a coined phrase back then too. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Remember that?
Yep,
It's just a soccer mom. I'm like, I've never even been to a soccer game. So I'm on probation, 10 years, felony adjudicated probation, and I can't stay sober. Right. And I got these guys wrapped around my little finger thinking I'm some soccer mom, and I just don't know what to do. And it finally came down to, well, you can either go to jail or you can go to treatment.
Oh, the probation officer said this. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And here's the deal. I still didn't think or know or realize I was an alcoholic and an addict. Like I didn't. That was nowhere in my brain.
Isn't it funny how that happens?
I still thought this was This was just me. It was just normal. And so I go to treatment, and where does treatment bring me? The Freeman Center down here in Waco.
Oh, wow.
This was in 2008 was the first time I went. I did 90 days. Now, I had to walk away from my son and my boyfriend, and he ended up taking him back to California.
Oh, wow.
So now I've got my daughter who lives with her dad in North Dakota, and I have my son who's in California.
And you're in Central Texas.
And I'm in Texas, okay? And I think I'm doing the deal. Like, okay, I go to some meetings. I'm in treatment. They had them in the basement. And I get, a person that's kind of helping me walk this walk of sobriety. But I'm not connected to anything, right? People are saying, you got to get connected to God. You got to have a relation. And I'm like, okay, I'm connected.
Yep.
That's what you tell me to do. And I got out and I drank. And I had nothing. I had a car in my name. I don't even know if it was in my name, to be honest. But I had a car. And a friend of mine let me stay at his mobile home And I remember I got out. I was like, I'm not going to drink. This is it. I'm not going to drink. And that night I had 1 beer. Yay, I had 1 beer. I can do this. The next night I had 2 beers. It was great. We had a good time. No big party, just hanging out. By the 3rd night, I was drunk in a bar, sleeping with dudes, lost my glasses, woke up in a place I didn't even know I was in my car, and I'm like, have nowhere to go.
Within 3 days.
Yeah. So I spent the next 6 months living in my car, living in garages, basically selling myself for food, for housing, for companionship, for drugs. I was doing drugs again, smoking a lot of crack. I don't know if you want me to say that. But
do you, babe?
doing hardcore drugs, doing hardcore things to not die. And of course, things happen to women when they're out on the streets, right? And I think it's okay. It's normal. Maybe they love me. Maybe he's going to save me.
Right.
This mentality of he's going to save me and I'm going to pick the right one.
This will be the one.
This will be the one. And I'm on probation. I'm AWOL. So I'm still on 10-year probation. It's only been like 3 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you stayed here, though, when you got out, or did you go back up to?
Nope. I've been in Texas.
Stayed here.
And actually, I was in China Spring.
Got it.
Just 6. I can't even tell you. People were using my car for robberies. Like, it was just,
nuts.
I was homeless and selling myself and really not caring what happened to me. And I don't know what happened, but something in me said, you got to go back to treatment. You might have this deal. And so I don't remember exactly how I got, but I went back to the Freeman Center and I did 30 days. And I really was like, I think I might be an alcoholic. Like, I think this is it. And I kind of started doing the recovery thing, and I met a guy. But he quit drinking and smoking pot when we started dating.
So he's perfect.
He's perfect. So sweet. And he grew up with a mom just like me. So he understood me, and I was sober. And this is when I actually met Jennifer.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I think she was my sponsor. This was a while ago, and I have some stuff. I think she was my sponsor at one time.
How funny.
Isn't that such a small world?
Is.
And I was sober for like a year, and I got pregnant. Mind you, we're living in a motel. It was the Mardi Gras downtown before they destroyed it. That's where we lived. Okay. And I was pregnant, and things were going okay for living in a hotel, and we were working. I can't remember exactly. I think maybe I got into another. I don't know what happened, but I got on the pills again. And here's what happened the next 7 years. I got addicted to tramadol, which is a non-narcotic,
right? But
it's also an SSRI, so it has like mental benefits as well as pain relief. I got booted out of Providence, Hillcrest, because I'd been to the ER so many times.
Yep.
I've been put in mental hospitals from detoxing because I would go crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, mind you, I'm having another baby, so I have 2 kids now. We're living in hotel rooms. We moved to Las Vegas because in my mind, I'm like, I can get closer to my son. We lived in a motel in Vegas for a year, and I never saw my son once. I was booted out of 2 ERs from Las Vegas, and in 2 different mental hospitals in Las Vegas over this time period. But I'm raising my kids. Okay, I don't know how to explain it, but there's no violence around them. There's no drugs around them. There's no alcohol around them. They're fed, they're bathed, they're loved. I'm loving them. Okay, that was the thing, is that they will know that I love them. They had bedtimes. I brushed their teeth. Like, I had some semblance of normalcy on these pills,
Just
except
a
for
double
when
life almost.
It was almost, but
Yeah.
I'm home at night. And I think about 7 years went by. My kids are a little bit older. We went to Louisiana to be close to his family, lived in hotel rooms and lived in mobile homes. And it was just constantly trying to find the place that would be better where I could do this. And it got to the point where I was like, I can't take these pills anymore. I'm so tired of hurting. I'm so tired of not knowing if I can function during the day without them. And I couldn't. I could not. I mean, I was crushing them and snorting them. I was trying to buy them online. There were people in the neighborhoods that we'd be at that I would buy pills from. And something had told me, just take a drink. Now, mind you, I hadn't drank in 7 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't say that. Wow.
I had not drank, so I thought I was sober.
Right. So you said, but looking back, your substance, because believe it or not, we do have a bunch of listeners that aren't in our community. So believe it or if you can see, you're like substituting. It gets me when someone comes into a recovery room and says, I haven't drank in 30 days, but I still smoke weed. And it's like, oh dear.
Yeah.
I
thought I was sober.
Yeah.
I mean, don't mind the mental hospitals and the ER visits and my kids watching me be wheeled away in an ambulance with fake injuries.
Oh gosh.
Fake injuries.
Oh.
I jumped off a ladder once on purpose to go to the ER. That's what I did because I was in so much pain and couldn't physically do without the pills. These pills are death to me. Pills are like heroin. And they really are.
Oh, they really, literally are.
Thank you, Jesus. That's the one thing I never touched. But I've heard that coming off of pills is worse.
Really?
I have. But my experience is I don't care. It was hell every single
You just wanted it to
time.
stop.
And so my brain finally went, look, you haven't drank in 7 years. You're not an alcoholic. So just drink. You could just have a beer at the end of the night.
Right.
And I don't remember having that thought at the time. And I just, on my way to pick my kids up from school, pull into a gas station. We're in Louisiana at this time. And I picked up a pint. Good old Kentucky. $2.50. And I picked my kids up from school, went home, and I drank it, and everything was great.
Oh, wow.
I had that I can only explain it as I could
comfort.
Finally breathe again. And I had fun with the kids, and we danced and listened to music.
You felt
loud.
normal.
I did feel normal.
Yes.
And nothing bad happened. Nothing bad happened. Well, here's the deal. Me and my husband at the time, he had trouble keeping a job, so I blamed him for all our problems.
Of course.
I was unavailable emotionally, right? He couldn't trust me because I lied all the time about medications and stuff. And we just wasn't a good marriage. He was an amazing father, always has been. And he never drank or smoked pot or anything.
Oh, wow.
Never.
Wow,
he was
wow,
sober
wow.
the whole time. I even tried to get him to take pills with me.
Right.
And he would take a couple and he'd just be like, I'm good.
Wow.
So I don't think he's one of us. Even
Yeah,
though
I don't think so.
Which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
So we finally had this bright idea that we're going to go back to Waco because I know that there's a recovery community in Waco because I'd gone to some places and I had a sponsor and I knew that I could get sober in Waco. And that was 2016. Well, we ended up living in a hotel room. I guess I won't name it since we're local, but it's the hotel room. And I'm drinking, but then I would start taking pills again to stop drinking because I knew I couldn't drink because when I drink, I cheat, I run off, I stay out all night, my kids don't see me for 2 days.
Right.
When I'm taking pills, I'm home, right? And I'm a loving wife, and it's a please, I'll never do it again.
Right.
I'll never do it again. Every time.
And you meant it.
And I meant it. I'm not going to do this again.
Lie detector, put a gun to my head. How many times did you quit forever?
I remember calling him up from spending the night at some dude's house somewhere downtown and saying, can you just come pick me up? I promise I'll never do this again. Please don't hate me. And he did. He picked me up and brought me home to my children. And I did that for a year. And it was Thanksgiving of 2017. It was Thanksgiving of 2017, and he'd had enough. And his mom and brother were living here in Waco. And I remember I was drunk, and I'd just been over at some other dude's room, okay? And he had just come home from work. And he said, that's it, I'm taking the kids to my mom's. And he did. He took them. And that night, I went to a bar. I drove to a bar.
Right.
Let some guys take me around. Things happened, right? And mind you, I'm a 30 39-year-old mother, soccer mom from Orange County, California. And I'm being dropped off at Highway 6 in Franklin. They just dropped me off. And I remember walking down Franklin. It was like 2, 3 o'clock. I don't even know what time it was. No cars. And I'm just walking in the middle of the road. I'm like, done. I'm done. Every once in a while, a car would come because I'd go over onto the other side to like walk into oncoming traffic, and they'd move out of the way.
Sure.
That's all I remember. The next thing I remember is the hotel room door swinging open, and my ex-husband standing in the doorway like this, staring down at me, and I wake up and I just go, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I look back now. And when you know how you try to look back in your past and you try and look at things, you get a visual?
Yes.
There were wings.
Oh, wow.
There were wings. And it's taken me a long time to be a spiritual person. There were wings. Okay?
So now, was he actually there?
He was there.
Wow.
He was there, but there were wings behind him. I don't know. But I can clearly see wings.
That's amazing.
And I went to DePaul and I went to Senecor. And
which are treatment centers.
Yes. DePaul is it's a crisis center for when
which
you're
you were
suicidal.
in crisis.
It was Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Senecor wouldn't take me.
Oh, got it. Okay, but you were still in pretty.
And I couldn't
crisis.
I had to go somewhere.
Right.
Because I was still drunk and I had to detox, and so I detoxed at DePaul, and then I went to Senecor. And I got in there, and it is November 25th, 2017. And I had an awesome counselor. He was so fly. He had the coolest shoes. Just always well dressed. And I came in and I did my work, and I've been there for 3 days. I do really good in institutions.
I do too. I did too. I had my highlighter, and I made sure that I turned my work in on time. And yes,
no, ahead of time.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to overachieve.
I was
but
big
I was
sister.
Yes, I love it. Gave everybody advice.
Day 3. Yeah,
I did.
Right?
I gave everybody advice.
and I have this little red book, and I'm reading it, and I'm highlighting, and I'm like, I go to my counselor, and I said, okay, I think I'm ready to go home. I've been there 3 days.
Oh,
I'm ready to go home. I want to be with my kids. I miss my kids. And he took one look at me, and he said, I think you need to go into your room, find something to pray to, hit your knees, and ask for help.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what happened or why I did it. I just knew I had to do it. So I did. And the next day, like, I had this feeling of like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I better shut up and listen and do what people tell me. And that's what I did. I did that for 30 days. I spent Christmas in there. My husband would bring my kids. I broke up with my husband in there because of him.
Right. Okay.
A couple hymns.
Of course.
You know, what we do in treatment is we're alone, and so we hook up or we meet people. The day I was to get out, now he picked me up, and I was going to go back and live with him and the kids because he'd gotten an apartment. And that was my condition, and I told him maybe we'll try, right? I didn't know what else. I have nobody. My dad is in California. He's a drunk. I hadn't talked to him in 20 years. My mom's gone. My half-sister and I don't talk. I'm not close to anybody. I have nobody. My grandpa passed away while all this stuff was happening.
Wow.
Didn't even know. So I have my grandma, and I'm kind of talking to her a little bit, but she never really left my side. But you know, she's done. She's not going to give me anything or pay my rent. She supported me and my husband and sent us thousands of dollars paid for. Anyways, she was done, but she wasn't done. Like, she would be there, and she'd talk to me, and I'd tell her how I was doing. And so I move in with my husband and my kids, and but I started going to recovery meetings. The day that I left, they said, you better go and get connected with recovery today. And I did that the day that I left. And about 30 days of living with my ex and the kids, and I had this overwhelming feeling of I'm going to drink. And I was still doing what I was supposed to be doing every single day, going, every single day, doing recovery. But I was not happy. Nothing had changed. We were still living in a crap hole with no heat. It was winter.
Oh, wow.
And because I got out December 26th, actually, of 2017. So I lived with him until February of 2018. That's for about 30 days after maybe 60 days. It was about 30 days. So anyways, and I had one of the women that I'd kind of come in contact with in 2008 and 2010 from the Freeman Center. Somehow I got reconnected to her. Maybe it was in the rooms. I don't know. And I called her up and I said, I'm going to drink. I don't know what to do. I don't want to live here.
Oh, wow.
Knowing that I couldn't take my kids wherever I was going to go.
Right.
And she said, well, hey, I have this sober living that I have. And I've got a bed. And I said, I have no money. I have nothing. I have a car.
So for those people that aren't in our world, tell them what does that mean? Sober living. What does that mean?
So sober living is usually a residential home. If it's done correctly, it's a women's home and a men's home, separate, right? You have men's sober livings and women's sober livings. Where you basically have enough freedom to hang yourself, but enough accountability to keep you connected if you're ready.
Right.
So there's a curfew. They do random UAs. You have to meet for a house meeting. And your focus has to be your 12-step program.
So there's structure. Yeah, which most of us didn't, at least in my experience, 11 and a half years, most of us didn't have an experience with good structure.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And it was just for women. And I moved in, and I knew I couldn't take my kids with me. And that was that I had to make that choice. Okay. So here's how this went. He ended up moving back to his mom's house with my kids. And mind you, he's furious with me. He hates me. He loves me. He wants to make it work. He doesn't want to make it work. And he's like, I'm keeping the kids. You're not stable. I don't trust you. All the things that he should have been. And here's how God works, even when I didn't know who God was. The sober living home was 1 block away from his mother's house.
Shut up.
Yeah. So here's how I came into sober living. I had an out-of-state expired driver's license. I had a car that was in repo that they were looking for with no brakes. I mean, people would tell me they're going to catch on fire, and I drove it. I had a couple of boxes, which I still have today, of my mother's china. I have no idea how I kept track of those things. I still have them today. And probably 3 outfits. This is what I had when I came into sober living. Nothing. And nobody to call and say, hey, can I borrow some money?
Right.
Like, can you loan? Like, nobody.
Right.
Nobody. I was by myself. And a husband who hated me. 2 kids I hadn't raised and hadn't seen in 15 years. Two children. I hadn't even made an effort, okay, because I was so busy with what I was doing. And he had my kids, but God put those kids a block away from me so that I could walk and go see them. And their dad had enough, has something in him to know that they needed their mother, that he started letting me pick them up from school.
Oh, wow.
And he needed to work, and he didn't really want them with his mom, and, she was old and had been a drug addict and alcoholic her whole life, and it just wasn't a pretty place. So it gave him an opportunity to go to I'd pick them up from school. They'd come to the sober living. I'd bathe them, do their homework with them, go to a meeting. Then I'd go to the park, and then I'd bring them home. And I did that. That's what I did. That was my life. And so what happened this time, the only thing, because I look back and I sit in meetings and I hear people talk and I'm like, but what did I do? Why did it work this time? And the only reason I can think it worked is because I shut up. I stopped talking about myself. I stopped saying I know, because I did not know. And I did what people told me to do, period.
Even if you didn't understand why you were doing it.
Most of my beginning of sobriety was just repeating prayers. I had no connection. I knew I needed a connection, and I was willing to have a connection. And I just did the work over and over and over again, and went to the meetings and showed up and stayed sober. I can tell you very vividly, in treatment, the obsession was removed.
Wow.
I have not had the desire to drink or drug since I've been sober. That does not mean I haven't had horrible moments where I've weighed, and we were talking about this a minute ago, a little while ago, was where I weighed, I can't drink, but I can't live.
Right.
Like, I've had some of those moments in sobriety. And I had crap jobs, and but I just continued to do it. And mind you, I feel like I'm this woman that was homeless and just not worth anything. And I remember a couple of people, not just men, some women saying, you can do so much more. Like there's something in you. And I'd be like,
Why don't we believe that?
I was like, I don't know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. And I'd just show up and I would just do this. And COVID happened, right? And so I'm in sober living. I'm doing a job from home in sober living, and I'm dating a guy in the rooms, which they tell you not to do. But he has a year of sobriety. He works a program, and he's also in a men's sober living.
Right.
And so we're dating in the rooms, like it was, and we'd go to the rooms, and then we'd go out.
Right.
With the kids, right? And we kind of had built this relationship. And the woman who had created the house that I was living at had also started a social enterprise called down at Union Hall, Milkshakes, and the purpose was that it was going to put money into the house because Sunshine Recovery House is a 501c3. The rent pays the bills.
Right.
Period.
Right.
We are 100% solely relying on donations.
Right.
And rent, and the women's rent.
So that business was created to help support
Put the money
any type of
into the
repairs or
house.
anything else the
Yes.
girls might need or anything
Yes.
like that.
This beautiful, magical idea. Well, when COVID happened, the executive director was like, I've got to go on sabbatical. I've got to step away, and she had like 7 years, and she was my mentor. She introduced me to people that I never thought I'd meet. Like, I went to McLean Stadium, Baylor Stadium, like up in the dining area. Like I'm just a woman who's sold herself for food.
Right, and was homeless, and here I am.
And I'm standing up here in a nice outfit. I also had the opportunity to go through a beautiful program for women in the industry. It's an amazing program that helps women learn self-esteem and get connected to God. And now I have to tell you, through all of this, I think I'm connected to God. I'm believing that there's a God, okay? First couple years of sobriety, there's got to be a God, right? Too many things are happening. And this thing happened in COVID. And anyways, I like to be very careful about how I address this.
Sure.
She had decided to step away.
Right.
And she was a mentor of mine, deeply respected, loved, and adored her. And the board of directors had kind of said, hey.
Of the sober living.
Had said, hey, listen, why don't you become a house manager? And there was never a house manager. And I'd been there 2.5 years, and I wasn't planning on leaving. I didn't know where to go. I didn't make enough. I was making $875 as a shift lead, okay, in 2022.
Right.
2020. And so anyways, so I said yes. And then the person who was running the milkshake shop relapsed.
Oh, goodness.
And I was working there. I had decided to take on to work there
and be the house manager.
So
the house manager, just so you know, is just exactly that. You've got sober living, so you've got several women. How many women can be in that house at one time? Just get
the
just
new
an idea.
house that we have now. We can hold 10.
Okay, so you're just basically as a house manager, making sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. You're not a drill sergeant. You're not their mama, but you're there to just oversee
and lead by example.
Right.
Lead by example.
The pressure.
So I have to make sure that I'm always doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And there was a time when I was like, I have to be perfect.
Right.
So I kind of feel what the other executive director probably had to go through. I have to be perfect. I can't screw up. I can't, and I did. In the rooms. A lot of wreckage in early sobriety. But so anyways, I stepped over to the milkshake place, and the woman who was running it relapsed, and they said, hey, listen, you've got a lot of management experience in the food industry, which I did. And they're like, can you manage Unshakable? And so I was like, yeah, sure. I got a raise. I was making more money than I'd ever made before.
Life is good.
And I'm not talking bankroll. I'm just making more than $10 an hour.
Well,
right?
yeah.
Which I'd never made before. But I'm running a milkshake shop. And I'm a house manager at a sober living. And I'm with my kids all the time. And things are starting to, like happen. That just me running a milkshake shop, being I don't. This is crazy, right? There's got to be a God,
Right.
and I have to seek God on the daily. Like this is what I'm learning, right? And so I'm staying sober. COVID happens, milkshake, blah 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 blah. I get to a point in my recovery where I have to make some decisions about milkshake shop because it's taking money. When I took over, there was a lot of financial stuff that was not right that had to be righted, and it took all the money.
Right.
And
so that was affecting the recovery house.
So the recovery house was in effect supporting the business.
Oh goodness, that's ass backwards, isn't it? Than what it was intended to do.
So what I did was we decided to shut it down. Now here's the deal: the last 3 years of my recovery, I'd gotten married, I had my kids back. My husband and I live on property at the house in our own apartment. I have my kids. I'm doing the deal, like I'm showing up and I'm doing all the work you're supposed to be doing, and I'm starting to kind of develop a relationship with God. I believe. I'm believing. And I got to shut down the milkshake shop. And now here's the thing that made me feel like I was worthy, the thing that made me feel I had accomplished something, shut down. And
not to mention you had to shut it down.
I had to shut it down. And I got to a point where what I just said, I knew I couldn't drink. Like, sobriety is amazing and awesome, and I'm not rich, and I drive a piece of crap car, and but I've got a great husband and my kids in my life, and I have women that I work with, and and I wake up and don't want to die, because that's a horrible place when you're drinking, that you wake up, you do not want to drink, but you do.
Yep.
You can't
drink and you can't not drink.
So I want to die, right? And I lived through that for so many years. But anyways, so I put my hands out. Like, people say I talk with my hands, but I think it's because I visualize. Like, I visualize like this alcohol in one hand. Like, I know this will make me feel better. I know this makes me breathe again. But I can't do this. But I can't live like this. Who am I? What am I going to do?
Oh, wow.
And there was only one other time I'd really reached out to God, but this time I hit my knees and I cried and I begged and I said, God, like, please take this from me. Like, help me get through this. And I'd love to say that this bush caught on fire and I had this aha moment, and that's not what happened. What happened was I woke up the next day and I knew it was going to be okay if I put my foot in front of the other. And so I started doing that, and I got a job that paid actually more money than I was making at Unshakable. But it was very hard on me physically. And so now where I am today is I'm still running the sober living with my kids and my husband. And my husband's amazing. He's a great leader in the recovery community for men.
Yes, he is too.
He was a house manager for a men's sober living for many years. And that's just how we formed our relationship. And you were talking about walk the walk. I don't know anything else. When that moment happened where I went and I sought God, and the result was the next day that fear was gone, I knew he was real. And so I have been seeking God like alcohol every day. But if I had not shut up and sat down and let people tell me what to do, I don't think I would be here today. And what I can tell you today is I'm about to. I believe everybody can choose their own higher power and their own God, but I'm going to get baptized soon.
Oh, praise the good deal.
My kids are learning about God, but they know more about God today than I did when I was their age. I don't force it on them, but we talk about him. And I have a lot of unknowns going on in my life right now. Just with the house, it's just, we need so much work done on Sunshine, and I'm just not that marketer that can go out and, I'll preach the word, but and I was kind of losing faith for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kid you not, God does this thing where one person told me, faith and fear don't live in the same house.
Right.
So if you're fearing, you're not having faith.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have faith.
Mm-hmm.
And then another person said, you're just being tested right now because you have to have faith. And it just kept coming up that I realized I wasn't having faith that God's going to provide no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And I know because I'm alive today.
Right.
And so today I have this amazing, I believe in God. I talk to God. God is my solution. God makes me feel, there are times, I have such bad insecurities about my physical being, about who I am. None of that's changed in the sense that I'm still that little girl that just wants to be loved.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is I don't go outside to seek it. And I've had enough practice over the years to know that God's the only thing. My husband can't make me feel beautiful.
Right. Right.
My children don't make me feel beautiful. My friends can't make me feel beautiful. Only God can make me feel beautiful, and I have to go to him every day. What I've learned to do is say, God, help me see myself through your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And he presents an opportunity every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day. I don't know. Do you have any questions?
It's beautiful. Well, and I can relate, and obviously our stories are a little bit different,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just interesting how similar they are. Especially when it comes down to a higher power, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Having I had no faith in anything.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even. What is faith? I mean, what is that even? Okay, I believe it. I mean, I would tell you
can't
anything.
see it.
Yeah, I mean, and
hear
surely,
it.
surely your God hasn't shown up for me because I wouldn't be seizing out, ready to kill myself if
Yeah.
your God was that great. He must think I'm a real piece of shit like I do.
We don't come from the same places, but that feeling of I want to
Oh,
die.
yes.
I don't want to drink. I don't want to die. I have to drink.
And I can't die.
Live
So the only thing we can do is go
It's
into a
all the
recovery
same.
program. I mean,
It's
that's
all the same.
it's just and lo and behold, and I can remember too. And that's why I so relate to what you were talking about. It's like I could see good things were happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't willing to go, ooh, that's God. I didn't.
Right.
I would like to take some of the credit. But things. It was. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to look back and especially to hear you say, that's true. When faith walks in the front door, fear goes right out the back door. They cannot live in the same house.
Can't.
And to have faith, and I was talking to another friend yesterday, as a matter of fact, and I said, it's one thing to have faith, right? And I heard it equated to, you go to a circus and there's the high wire act and there's a guy coming out, with a wheelbarrow and he's about to go across this high wire. I got faith. They wouldn't let him up there if he was not going to make it across, right? I've got faith he's done that once or twice before. But if I had trust, I would go up and get in the wheelbarrow.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Right.
Ugh.
God wants us in the wheelbarrow.
He does.
He wants us in the wheelbarrow. It's not. I just, at least my experience with God, it's like it's not enough. It's not enough that you have faith in me. That's to me in my world. That was lip service because I would tell you I believed in anything just to get you to like me, accept me, believe me, not judge me. I would tell you anything.
Yeah.
But that trust, man, that is just there is a fine line between completely giving up on life and giving complete trust to God. Yeah. There for me there was. I mean, it was just it almost looked the same for a minute until I saw, I've heard the term grow your wings as you fall. Wow. Right? You're going to have to just grow your wings as you fall.
Yeah, every moment, every God moment, every time that I felt the presence or had some sort of confirmation comes
just
from pain.
Right. Don't you hate that?
I have to suffer and feel because I don't seek him.
I know.
It is not in my nature to seek God when everything's great. And that's what this program has helped me do is like I need to seek him all the time. And for And the important thing I think about doing shows like this is that there are men and women out there that do not realize that they have purpose. God put them on this earth to do something, and it doesn't matter if it's to drive a city bus. We have opportunities to be messengers and servants of our higher power no matter what we're doing. All we have to do is smile, be kind, throw a couple dollars in the bucket,
Right.
open a door. Like, there are things that we can do on God's earth that can help somebody, and we never know how that's going to help that person in that moment. And I believe that we are all put here for a reason and a purpose, whatever that may be. And there are women out there that think that they shouldn't even be living right now, that hate themselves, that hate their body, that don't think they're worth anything. And the fact is we are all worth something. We are all worth God's love. And I believe that today. But it took me pain and hell and tribulations and trials and, broken hearts and broken children and, things to get to a place where that we are not on this planet just whirling around, working and making money and paying bills.
Soak
That is
up
not why
resources
we are
and
here.
die. Right.
That is not why we are here. We are here to take care of each other and love each other. And I think we lose that desire to be helpful because we're so selfish. Right? It's all about me.
Right.
And what the program has done for me, what sober living, oh my God, sober living has done. Sunshine Recovery House has taught me how to be selfless. Okay? Because I don't want to get up at 9 o'clock at night and go downstairs and UA somebody because somebody came home drunk or high. And but I do, because I don't want to drink. Right? Because there are women that have gotten their children back in that house.
Wow.
I've gotten my children back because there are women that were like on the deathbed that have these amazing jobs today. You know what I mean? Like the sad truth is that 90% of the women that come in leave. Some of them come back. Some of them don't make it back. But of that, the 10%, those few women like myself, have lives that are productive, and children. This is a generational thing. The children now have a mother, right? And so their children will now have a grandmother. Like it's a riptide. And so just one woman getting sober isn't just one woman getting sober. It's her whole community around her if we do the right next thing, right?
Well, and also, it took a minute. It took a hot minute for me to get to this place. But to get to a place where because I wasn't selfish and self-centered because I'm an asshole. I was selfish and self-centered because I was injured. I was traumatized.
Yes.
I was in self-protection.
Yes.
The results are the same, right? But I wasn't a liar because I was a liar. I was a liar because I was sick.
Right.
When, in active alcoholism.
Right.
But the fact of to sit here right now and all that you have shared with me, and to have an appreciation for it is nuts.
Right.
It's nuts.
Right.
It's nuts. But when you can, because if you're going to do the deal, if you're going to get in the wheelbarrow, you can't have one leg out,
Right.
And holding on to a safety strap. You're either all in or you're not.
Right.
God either is or he isn't. And if you're all in, then that means all you're walking up this Franklin Street and the kids being taken away, all of that has to be in the wheelbarrow with you.
Yeah.
It has to, and the victories, they all have to be that beautiful mixture that you can help another one of God's kids with.
Yeah.
That's the go-go juice. That's the magic. That's the unbelievable, weird thing and the way it works.
If we can look at our past and all the pain that we've been through and know that the whole reason we went through it is because it's going to save somebody else's life, who is then going to save somebody else's life.
What else is there?
That's it.
What else is there?
I look at my past and I have so much shame and regrets and, I wish I could have done things differently, but I have so much acceptance around every choice that I made, because every battle that I fought, somebody can relate to, and someday it'll help somebody.
Yes, because if you deny that, or if you hide that one incident in shame, or but you're denying what you're telling God. Okay, you keep doing your thing, but I'm not going to let you use this to save another one of your kids.
Right.
Get your leg back in the wheelbarrow.
Right.
Right.
Right. Right.
You're
exactly.
either in the wheelbarrow or you're not. And when I was able to, because I'm just dumb. I got to have things dumbed down for me and put in a way I can understand it. If I can keep my ass and keep your hands and legs inside the wheelbarrow at all times, if I can do that, then I know that I live my purpose. And the beautiful thing is, my oldest child right now is 35 years old.
Wow.
My youngest is 25 years old.
Wow.
And I know that were they standing right here, and were asked if you could take back, if God said, tell you what, I'll take back the alcoholism, but you'll get what you get, they wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
All of the things I did to them, all of the things, they wouldn't do it. And I'm going to tell you right now, my kids know God better because I'm an alcoholic.
But
what else?
Exactly. You know what? We are truly reborn into what God had designed us to be from the get.
But I had to be broken in a million pieces so he could put me right back together. I mean, put me back together the way I was intended, and that was painful. That was painful. And if you can get past the fear of that pain, and just I hate fake it till you make it, because I faked it for too long.
Yeah.
Acting as if, I know that sounds kind of the same, but it's not. I just had to. I had to blindly have faith that something was going to work to pull me out of the I can't drink, I can't not drink, and so far I haven't been able to kill myself.
Yeah, I know. We try.
I know,
we try.
right?
We
so
try.
What else is there?
I think it's just amazing to me. I sit here today. I'm 45 years old. I have 2 children that I'm older adults that I'm trying to build relationships with, and if they don't want to, it's okay. But I have 2 smaller children, 10 and 12, about to be 11 and 13, teenagers, preteens, that have only seen me drunk a couple times that they remember right now. But I can honestly say today that I don't put a mood-altering substance, pill, liquid into my body in any way, shape, or form. And that I am able to be a mom today and tell them no and give them restrictions and have them do chores and brush their teeth and all the chaos that comes around with being a mother. But I sat in that chaos the other night, and just stuff going off in the sober house, and and my kids not wanting to do homework, and my husband was saying had his own stuff, and it was like this whirlwind of chaos. And I literally stood there and just felt at peace, because I get to handle that chaos with grace and dignity and sobriety. And that is a miracle. And my children don't have to grow up with mom that's dead, really on the inside.
Oh, for sure. Which is sometimes worse than actually physically being done.
Yeah, because I say I was there with them growing up, but I wasn't there. I wasn't who I am today.
Present.
Yeah, present.
How do you start your day?
I'd love to say I get on my knees and I say a great prayer to my higher power and I read da-da-da-da-da. Most of the days I have a few passages from my book that I read that just kind of remind me who I am at the core. I'm selfish and self-centered. What I can do about it. And then there's some prayers in there that are like, hey, God, help me be this way. And then there's some things in there that literally tell me what to do when if things crop up through my day. It's just amazing. It literally tells me
word
do
for
this
word
when this crops up, and then you pray, and then and it just reminds me that stuff's going to happen throughout the day, but that I just need to lean on my God. Period. So I do that kind of repetitiously every day. And I will tell you, the few times I've forgotten or been in too much of a hurry, I feel what I've related it to is the armor of God, right? Even if I half mean it and I'm just like blah, 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 and I'm checking my phone and reading blah, blah, and I'm still kind of not, and I'm reading blah, 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 blah. At least I've made some attempt to connect.
Right.
But the days that I'm just out the door, I feel naked and things go wrong. And the only thing I can tell you is it's not that things don't go wrong on the days that I have my armor on. It's that I have a different solution.
Right.
I'm not the solution. Like when things go wrong and I've done what I'm supposed to do and I've connected to God, I can intuitively know how to handle the situation. And then the days that I'm running out the door, it just all turns to shit and I'm crying by the end of the day.
You feel the stress of having to handle and do and manage things yourself.
All by myself.
That you have no business managing and controlling.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And that was hard for me in the beginning of sobriety. I was like, how do I hand my will and my life over? I can't physically. I have to do things. I have to. Yeah, but what am I doing?
Right.
What actions am I taking?
What's your track history?
What am I doing?
What's mine?
Am I doing what my people tell me to do, or am I doing what Natasha wants to do? And when Natasha does what Natasha wants to do, she ends up destroying everything worthwhile in her life in sobriety. Okay, sober. I can make a decision that can change my life tomorrow, and will, and have. But by the grace of my God, and by the grace of my program, and my house, and the fact that the people around me work just as diligently to stay sober, I'm able to right those wrongs and walk around with my head held high because I'm human and I do human things and I make human mistakes.
Sure.
And share that with others.
And you do. I'm just, I'm just here to tell you, and I'm not one that I don't blow smoke. I just don't. But between you and your husband, you're just amazing. You are amazing.
We are just staying sober, and doing what God would have us do. There's somebody that says, I look at my day and am I doing what I'm doing would God endorse? Which is ironic from who it's coming from. But anyways, but you know what I mean? That's the point.
100%.
Anybody can say something that really resonates with you. And I'm a lover and I love people. And I found out what my thing is, and my thing is to love unconditionally, even the ugliest and meanest person. And forgive, which is why I think I'm in the place that I'm in sober living, like being a house manager, is that I can find so much unconditional love, and I just love people. I love everybody. Like I'm just a people person, which is a long way from that little girl hiding underneath that desk. I did not know. It took sobriety to bring that about, but I don't know. If somebody could truly see who I thought I was and the way I walked to who I am now today, you would just be baffled as to what happened. And the only thing that I can tell people is walk with me. I'm going to show you how I'm doing it, not done it, how I'm doing it. And if you want what I have, which is peace, serenity, love, joy, safe anger, safe frustration. Like I feel today. I have emotions today, like human emotions today. But if you want that, I can show you the way. But I worked for it.
Right.
My husband and I work for it. Right? We do what people tell us to do, and we do it over and over and over again, and every day when we don't want to. There are days that him and I want to throw our hands up in the air and pack up and move away. We don't want, to have our lives interrupted all the time. But we know that if we do that, because if God wanted us to do that, he'd make a way. Like we know that if we don't stay where we're at right now, we're going to get drunk. That's the bottom line. And if I drink, I'm going to die.
Sure.
Period.
Yeah, I don't have another
Period.
one in me.
I still have enough fear. I guess it's a healthy fear. Like I don't live in anxiety that I'm going to drink, but I have enough fear over and feel and experience. I have enough of remembering of what I felt like that I know that I can never take another drink or pill. People say you can do anything in recovery. I'm not taking any chances. I will have to be out and administered narcotics before I take any. I'm just not even. I'm too afraid of opening up that door of awakening that beast, because it is ugly and not pretty and hurtful and deadly.
Oh, I'm the same way. I don't even use cough syrup.
Read
the label. Why I don't eat rum cake. I don't eat the sherry sauce. It's like, why the hell would I even? Why would I take a remote chance? No way. No, I don't need it. I don't need it. I can live my life just fine without those things.
So some people, and I believe this. We walk the world as free women today because we have a higher power and we work a program of recovery.
But he also gave me a brain.
But I am not. I know some people that go to karaoke in a bar.
Yep. Nope. We don't.
That's not me.
I don't go to the bar to eat pretzels. No. No.
That's my place.
Yeah.
That's where I find him.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, but you don't find the him with a capital H.
No.
Right.
Yeah, I gotta find a better way of saying that, because him is like him.
Yeah,
but it's not him.
No, he doesn't. Well, I can tell you that a dear friend who passed a couple of years ago said to me at one time when I was still pretty sick, I said, "Why are you taking the time to even try to minister to me?" And he said, "I believe that there will come a time when I go to heaven." And he said, my goal is to have at least one person come up to me and say, "I'm here because of what you did.
Yeah.
I'm here because you stayed.
Yeah.
I'm here because you spoke up.
I'm
here because you took a chance to say this, or you took a chance on me." Yeah. And he said, "That's my only goal in life." In that very moment, that became one of my goals in life. And I'm here to tell you, sister, you're going to have a few people lined up.
Look, if I could just have one woman look at herself in the mirror and not hate herself, hate her body, hate the way she looks, and find the love and joy, because I still have all those insecurities, but I have a solution to them today. And I really didn't think I deserved to live. I'm just, I'm too ugly. I'm too fat. I'm too dumb. You know what I mean? Like, I spent my whole life, nobody's going to love me. Nobody can love. I'm unlovable. And that is nowhere near my brain today. Like, if I could have one other woman understand that she is worth being loved, that she is loved, and that there's a way that she doesn't have to feel that pain anymore, like, then I've done what God put me on this earth.
Well, and a lot of us feel that, even because as I mentioned, there's what we call them normies, people that aren't in addiction, that listen to this show that resonate, because we, especially, and I can only speak for being a woman, I don't know a single woman that doesn't have those types of insecurities and vices. And in my humble opinion, the solution is still the same.
Yeah.
It's getting in the wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
It's remembering not necessarily who you are, but whose you are. And if you can find that connection, for me, like I said, I got to have things dumbed down. I have to go to the very, very, nth degree to be able to get that connection. That's the only way God could get my attention.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people. Not everybody has to go to those depths of despair and just awfulness. Well, I think you are absolutely amazing, no matter what you say. I love your humility. I love your selflessness. And I love that I know you. And I appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to me and share your experience.
I love what you're doing, and I think we need to start. I respect and love my program, but people need to talk about this. People need to know. It took me till I was 39 years old to really understand what alcoholism was, and I think that I don't know if I'd known what it was earlier or understood it had made a difference, but there's so many people out there struggling that just have no clue what's out there,
Suffering
what resources
and shame.
or, you know what I mean? And it's like there's there's so many of us.
Well, and there's no social boundaries. There's no gender boundaries.
Nope.
There's no economic boundaries.
Nope.
And the similarities are just beautiful amongst us. And we have a community that's amazing. So,
well, thank you for having me on. This has been a real. I'm telling you. No time in my past would I've ever envisioned looking out of the Alico building onto Waco. This is gorgeous.
Talking about recovery.
I know. It's
Rogue
just
Media.
been an amazing journey, and I'm really excited to see what happens in your world.
Yeah, well, me too.
And in my world, and go Waco. We've got some amazing recovery here.
Yes.
And it has saved my life.
People not afraid to recover out loud. I heard it brought up, and I'll end with this, that we become so comfortable with our darkness that we're not afraid to go into someone else's and help them find their way out.
Yeah,
right? And that's what that's what recovery is all about. And it's
true.
It's yours for the taking, but you gotta get that connection somehow. Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much.
You.
I love your heart. I love you, and I love your program.
I love you too. All this.
Taylor McGaw, thank you again for sponsoring this episode of Purpose Driven Sobriety. I'm Christine. I'm alcoholic. Thanks for listening to Purpose Driven Sobriety. Keep coming back.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.